Very glad that you all are joining us on International Podcast Day. We wanted to take a moment and look at the impact of podcasts on SSAI communications. It is an important vehicle that we use to share our specialization in science, engineering, and technology, as well as stories about our organization so that you can get to know us better. Today, I'm very pleased to have joining me Jason Dietrich, Communication Specialist at SSAI. He oversees our podcast productions, and so I want to take a few minutes to speak with him about our podcast productions, and so you get to know a bit more the faces that are behind our SSAI podcast. Welcome, Jason.
Dawn, first of all, it is a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. If you would share with the viewers about your story, you have shared in the past, I believe, on some of the podcasts that you have been a host of regarding hyperlexia, which is part of your journey. How did discovering STEM help you turn what was once seen as a disability you had mentioned into a superpower?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, Dawn. So, in relation to hyperlexia, for those of you that might not be as familiar with it, hyperlexia is a form of autism where it involves someone who has the ability to read at such a high level, but yet struggles with reading comprehension. So, I was diagnosed with it when I was 5 years old, and it was very interesting. My parents were impressed with the fact that in kindergarten, I was reading words equivalent to a fifth grader. But when they asked me, hey, Jason, what does this particular word or phrase mean? Very often I would say, I don't know. I don't know. So early on throughout my educational journey, I unfortunately had teachers who weren't very supportive of my skill sets and abilities. They never really showed me the time nor the effort that I needed in order to thrive both personally, academically, and even emotionally in the classroom. And Dawn, I had one teacher write a completely wrong evaluation about my skill set levels and my abilities that when I transitioned on to middle school, my poor middle school teachers and learning support teachers were like, who is this kid? This isn't Jason at all. This is a totally different kid that they just wrote about. So it was very challenging for me in elementary school. But in middle school, my teachers recognized my struggles with reading comprehension. They sat me down, they worked with me, and they got me introduced to STEM. And I remember I was introduced to concepts like astronomy, earth science, and even chemistry, and it was all hands-on. And I realized that through hands-on learning in STEM, it provided multiple different highways of opportunity. And I discovered that I had unique gifts. So it was thanks to my middle school teachers who helped me to see that hyperlexia is not a disability, but it is in fact a superpower. And what I am trying to do is to change society's perception of classifying someone who may have a disability. Everybody has a unique gift, everybody has a unique talent, and you have a superpower.
What an amazing story, Jason. I'm so glad that you're sharing it because, just even being at SSAI, where we specialize in science, engineering, and technology, as we work with scientists and engineers, technologists within our organization, those solutions are not easy. And one of the things I notice and the things you're working on, it's not easy. You have to plan, prepare, and keep on going. And that's what I hear in your journey as well. And you're sharing with others. That's so important, especially for, younger people who may be listening now, to never, ever give up. There's always a way to accomplish these things, and limitations that may be viewed by others as such actually strengthen you to achieve your goals. So that's excellent to hear. And also, I was wondering, what are some common misperceptions about STEM education? Because you mentioned excitement in STEM. How could that be an impact for students with learning differences? And then let's bring in SSAI, because SSAI, as we both know, is very involved with providing and provides solutions towards this. It's part of our core values. How has SSAI helped educators, parents, and even students to address some of these misperceptions?
Absolutely, Dawn. That's a wonderful question. So, in terms of some of the misperceptions that some people might, recognize in STEM or have, and it actually takes me back to before coming to SSAI, I was a public school teacher where I taught middle school science and mathematics. And I remember I first started teaching during the COVID-19 pandemic, which was quite an interesting time to be a teacher, that's for sure. I think we all can agree on that. But often I heard, as a teacher, especially when I taught math, a lot of students didn't like the subject. They said that I don't like this, I don't want to do this. And, one of the big things, Dawn, that's very important to express, whether you're teaching in a public school or especially if you're working at SSAI or any other company, is the fact you have to, ask yourself, what is the purpose behind learning this? Why am I learning this? How is this going to benefit me in the long run? And I think what's very challenging is that, sometimes if you are learning a particular subject and if you don't really understand what is the purpose behind learning it, then oftentimes you can just zone out. It's very important that whatever you are communicating, that you have to engage your audience and your students right away. And if you are able to allow your audience to be able to see, like, how is this best going to benefit them, then you can definitely inspire them and you could even get them to pursue some interesting careers in STEM, potentially even at SSAI, if you will. So, in relation to how SSAI has helped, bridge some of these misconceptions and help bring forth some of these opportunities to life, is primarily with STEM education. SSAI has promoted project-based learning. And this is something that's very important. 50 to 60, even 70 years ago, when my parents were growing up and when my grandmother was a teacher, primarily students just learned from a textbook and they just memorized, key information from a textbook. Because of all the advancements that we've had in technology today, unfortunately, that doesn't work anymore. Because there have been so many technological advancements and there is so much interest in new ideas from each generation. And it's very important that we implement some of these techniques. One of the ways SSAI has done that is through Globe Goes to Camp project. And for those of you listening, the Globe Goes to Camp project was originally started in 2018 by some of our educators at SSAI, and it has grown over the last 5 or 6 years or so into a global entity where students and educators, they engage in hands-on learning. They also collect and analyze data, where I believe that across the world, there have been 120 million measurements that have been contributed to a database based on Earth science in order to better our Earth. In addition to that, we have internships throughout our different programs like Explore, and then also through the Beheavy Family Foundation, through our partners. Even the Virginia Spaceflight Academy as well, where we engage in hands-on learning. And these students got to travel to different areas. They got exposed to different experiences and tours That's, Dawn, the main overarching idea that these students need, because it allows them to see that, wow, this is so cool. This is very engaging. This will allow them to potentially get inspired and pursue these great opportunities today. So if we really engage with project-based learning, and if students and, everybody understand the true purpose behind learning that material, then it's going to make a world of a difference.
Very good points, Jason. And as you mentioned, these various options, as people are hearing, I'm hoping that what you're saying, people want to learn more about some of the examples. So I know with Globe Goes to Camp, you have completed podcasts on that people can refer to, and certainly highly encourage everyone to do so if they haven't already watched the podcast on that. And you mentioned the internships programs that we provide, which definitely, are also project-based learning focus is an important component. Anyone can go out to our website, SSAIHQ.com, to find out information about that as well. So that's just excellent input, feedback, and very interesting and meaningful as well. Now let's turn to podcasts. We're focusing on International Podcast Day, as we know. And how has your interest in video development influenced your approach to podcasting? And what STEM skills or technology have been crucial in elevating the impact of SSAI's podcast series as you've worked on it?
Absolutely, Dawn. That's a great question. One of the main important aspects I wanted to express through podcasting is that you get to tell a story. And, regardless whether you're doing a podcast episode, or we've also done employee spotlights as well over the course of our YouTube channel. You get to tell a story about a certain piece of work that someone has done, or about, someone in general. So depending upon the topic, it can really help to engage your audience, and really help to build some interesting connections with others in terms of who exactly the person is. What is it that they do? Why do they do it? And why are they so passionate about it? Since I'm a visual learner, again, everybody learns in different ways and at different rates. Now, some people know this, and, some people might not, know this in society. And what we're trying to do is we are trying to ensure that through a visual storytelling component, we are able to engage with our audience, so that way they can see why SSAI is so impactful. And over the course of my video designing experience, Dawn, as you are designing videos, what's really cool is you are able to implement some cool, tips and tricks. Each video that you do, you might be able to discover an idea and help others understand, hey, this is something cool that I could implement into the next video. And you can slowly, grow from there. And, look, this is something important that I also wanted to express, that if you are doing a podcast or if you're doing videos, you are not going to be able to implement all of the cool techniques all in one video. That's just not going to happen, because it takes time to be able to get to the next level. And it's not going to be a straight path. It's going to be many different zigzags in terms of, getting to the ultimate goal of designing a great video. So that is definitely some advice that I wanted to share with everyone, in terms of, if you are interested and you dream of having a podcast, or, let's say being a YouTuber, start creating. And work on implementing a new skill and technique each time, then you will definitely go far. And in relation to, the videos that we do, Dawn, in relation to storytelling, even social media posts as well. We've done some social media posts in relation to our podcast episodes and employee spotlights as well. So please definitely check out our social media, and make sure that you follow us and subscribe to us if you haven't already done so. But in relation to the social media posts, That also tells a great story too, where it allows people to, see we've created these great videos, and as long as we catch them right away and we hook them, then it'll get them to click on that video and then be able to go to our YouTube channel and then also subscribe from there. So those are some key elements that I have learned throughout my time in employment at SSAI since I've been here for about a year. Once October comes, it'll be about a year. But in relation to that, I've noticed that the videos have gotten better and better with implementing some cool techniques, and it's really showing. So those are definitely some tips, tricks, and advice, Dawn, that I have learned in relation to video production since being at SSAI.
Wonderful to hear, and thanks for sharing that, Jason, so that others, and we certainly encourage others to utilize this podcasting as a tool as well for communications. And of course, if we can be of help, don't hesitate to reach out to Jason at connect@ssai.hq.com. You can reach out to us with any thoughts, suggestions, etc. that you may have or questions in terms of podcasting, and especially in terms of science, engineering, and technology within an organization, and which is our focus. Now, Jason, one additional piece I'd like to just quickly, as we're moving towards closing, just you've shared with me your aspiration is to be an astronaut. Now, of course, SSAI is a great place to be for that because, of the work that we do. But tell me just a little bit more about how you think podcasting can play a role in that journey and the skills or knowledge that you've gained through podcasting that could be valuable in pursuing a career in space exploration, as part of your SSAI journey.
Yeah. Absolutely, Dawn. Well, first of all, I do have to say that I am super, super excited in terms of pursuing this dream that I have of being an astronaut. And I know it's going to happen one day. So definitely for anybody who's listening who dreams of being an astronaut, you got to go for it. So if you're thinking about it, you can do it. You just have to have the belief and the confidence to do so. And you just have to be patient and trust the journey. So in relation to, my experiences at SSAI, and especially with, podcasting and doing some great video production, I've definitely noticed that in relation to becoming an astronaut and in terms of pursuing a career in space exploration, it really has helped me to develop my communication skills even better. It has allowed me to become an even better communicator, because when I have participated as a host for the podcasts and employee spotlights that I've done, I've met some of our rock star SSAI engineers, scientists, people who work in IT, and educators as well, who have varying skill sets and abilities and varying personalities. So some of them, as I've done these interviews with them, some of them get straight to the point where I've had to be able to try to blend myself and, make sure that I, fit their narrative in terms of how long of answers to give and replies. And in addition to that, some went a little bit more in depth. So it's just a matter of trying to find, that right balance. In addition to that, I have participated as a guest on different podcasts as well, which is a little bit different if you are a host. So if you are a guest, then what I have been able to do is I have been able to, again, I've connected with hosts who have varying skill sets and abilities and different personalities as well. So what I've been able to do is based on some of their questions as well, I've been better able to tailor my answers to some of the questions that they were asking me. And, look, in relation to a couple questions that you might want to answer or ask, there might be something that you discover over time that you might be able to answer again in a different way. That's the whole, benefit of, podcasting is that you're learning. You're learning through the use of video production. And in relation to doing that, with those two roles, I've not only become a great communicator, I've also been caring. I've also developed some compassion. And more importantly, I've developed some creativity. So, Dawn, in relation to that, those 4 C's, that is something that I value that I wanted to express to your audience. In terms of video production or in terms of pursuing your dreams, you have to be caring because, if you're not caring, then you might not be able to make as huge of an impact. You've got to be compassionate where you have to be able to, work together, work with others to ensure that you're meeting your common goal. You also, most importantly, have to be a great communicator where you have to advocate for yourself, ask for help, and to learn. And then most importantly, you have to be creative. You have to be able to step outside your comfort zone and be able to think outside the box. So if you take into account, those 4 C's, just like I've done with video production and podcasting, that can really, make all the difference. So, and I encourage everyone, as long as you value those 4 C's, you will definitely make a difference and you will reach your true dream at some point. Again, you just have to be patient. You have to enjoy the journey. It's a work in progress, but you will get there. And as soon as you reach your goal, you're going to be like, wow, I've come a long way. This was so worth the journey.
Jason, thank you. You are a rock star here at SSAI. And I really appreciate you sharing. So, some of your background, the impact it has on the podcast productions for SSAI, some of the examples of the podcast that you've been doing regarding science, engineering, technology, and our company through employee spotlights and other means that have resulted in getting our stories out there. And that's really the heart of this on International Podcast Day. We just wanted to share with everyone a behind the scene looks at our podcast, the making of SSAI podcasts, and the fact of how much we enjoy them. Hopefully you saw from Jason the smile it brings to his face, how it is an important part of his journey here at SSAI. And we hope that you will continue to watch our podcast and give us feedback, topics that we cover next, people. We love to get input on that. And we appreciate you taking the time today to just share a few minutes with us. We wish everyone much continued enjoyment and learning from podcasts here at SSAI. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Jason. Bye, all.